Here we go. Hi, everybody. We're just filtering in. Welcome to our 4-day knit-along preview with our friends at Makers Mercantile. So excited to be talking about this today. I'm just going to keep letting folks in for a second. And once we kind of get most of the waiting room in here, we are going to dive in. How many of you saw Makers Mercantile's fantastic email they sent earlier this week? Did any of you see that? Oh my gosh. So I'm seeing lots of hands up. Was not the best. My whole team, not there's a lot of us, but my team and I were all like, oh my gosh, that was such a great email. We loved it so much. And like the posts have been lovely. The swag you're doing. I mean, I kind of feel like Makers Mercantile's going all in on this. I'm pretty sure. So everyone, I am excited for you to meet. If you don't already know, Kyle Kunicki. Everybody in Knit Camp has just had an opportunity to get to know Kyle if you haven't already, because he's been a frequent guest with us. So we're super excited to be joining Makers to talk a little bit about not only this year's design, some tips on figuring out what size you should make, some different features about this year's pattern and how you can personalize it. But most importantly, we're going to talk about yarn because you can't knit a sweater without yarn. Kyle, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Glad to be here.
I see you've got your whole your situation all set up.
Yes, we are really, really excited about the 4-day knit-along. And I gotta say, I mean, it is a big gift for Olive Knits to allow yarn shops like us to get a little sneak peek and a little sort of jump start so that we can think behind the scenes and get prepared to give all of the people who want to participate in the 4-day knit-along as much encouragement and support as we can give. And it's really easy to do when we know that the pattern's going to be awesome. And when it's so awesome, it's so hard to keep it a secret. But we did it. We made it all the way to the release date, which is so cool.
It is super hard, right? Because we start putting the word out to our shops secretly so that everybody can get a head start. And, you know, because it takes planning. I don't know if you all know that, you know, shops don't always know what yarn everyone's going to suddenly need all at once, right? And so it's a lot for all the yarn stores to find out, oh, guess what everybody wants right now? Yarn that they may not have had in stock yet. So doing the little jump start for shops gives them a chance to get ready. And part of that readiness, Kyle really takes advantage of over at Makers because they do all kinds of fun extras. And I know everybody's going to want to hear about the really fantastic swag situation that you've organized to go with it. And we will, so everybody, if you have to go early before you see that information, you got to watch the replay. You'll get a replay link from Kyle because you don't want to miss that. So let's talk a little bit. Hi, Tanisha. Let's talk a little bit about the knit-along. Cece, hi again. I know some of you, I've seen, you know, some of you are going to come to a few of these and that's lovely. Some of you are just joining us for the first time. Fantastic. How many of you have never done the 4-day knit-along? Like you can just do this. If you've never done it, okay. I see some noobs, some new friends, Renee, Amanda, Andrea, Ellen. I see some new folks, some new friends joining us. So for those who've never maybe done it before, and those of you who have done this forever, hold on, I'm just going to mute. I'm just going to keep everybody muted. Thank you so much. For those who haven't done it, I want to just tell you a little bit about how it works. If you have done it, then you know the ropes and you can be that like cheerleader on the side that helps everybody feel supported and encouraged as they go. But basically, do you have to knit this sweater in 4 days? No, you don't. It's only a 4-day knit-along because that was what my very first personal challenge to myself was. Had nothing to, I didn't even go into it thinking like, I'm going to knit a sweater in 4 days. I was like, I have a long weekend. I have this sweater I want to knit. I wonder if I just, you know, have a lot of snacks and an audiobook and wind my yarn and I just do nothing but knit for 4 days. Like what would happen? Could I finish it? And I did. And that is how I got started with this thing. I shared it and somebody said, that would be a great knit along. You should do that. And that's all she wrote, because now this is our 7th year of doing it. 7 years. So it's not about knitting it in 4 days. It's about knitting a sweater faster than you thought you could. And why is that important? Because some of us think that it takes, I don't know, 2 years to knit a sweater. Why do I think that? Because it used to take me 2 years to knit sweaters. Not because it technically takes that long. I mean, this was like 25 years ago. My first sweaters took forever. And honestly, I don't think it occurred to me that it could go any faster than that. I would just like start knitting and put it down and get distracted and start other stuff. And you know how it is. And then someday I would finally finish it. Someday. And by then I'd be like, I don't even care about this anymore. It took so long. So knitting a sweater faster than you thought you could is just for your own joy of getting to the finish line. And so we knit the whole month of July. We don't kick you out after 4 days. You get to just stay with us. And actually, if you don't finish by the end of the month, that's fine too. We keep knitting all year long, both at Makers and here in Olive Knits land. So there's support and encouragement, and there's an energy that comes with knitting in community. Kyle, don't you agree? Don't you think there's like a little something like electric about it?
Absolutely. And it's not, it's not a race. We all sort of move forward together, and some people are going to get finished faster, and some people are going to run into sort of speed bumps and need to, rip something back and start over. And having other people making the same thing, it makes it so much more fun, I think.
I think so too. I just noticed I have blind lines on my face. So in case you're like, what's going on with Marie? I need to be up higher than the blinds. Absolutely. There's just, everybody goes at their own pace. The goal is not to develop carpal tunnel and have your hands fall off. Like that's not what we're trying to do here, but it is about kind of focusing on one project just to see how far you can get in a month. If it's 4 days because you're knitting a small size and you are like, I've got a whole weekend, I'm going for it. You absolutely can. And in the early days, I used to knit all of them in like a smaller medium size in 4 days just to make sure it was possible. I have to knit bigger sizes now, you guys. So I don't probably want to do it in 4 days now. I might give myself 5 or 6 days if I really could just sit in it. I don't get to do that anymore. Amanda, you're new as a first 4-day gal. I love it. We have so much fun going through this process together and just getting to cheer each other on. And actually the nice thing about everybody we have thousands of people all around the world that participate in this with us. And I know I can, Kim. I just don't have 4 days to knit is my problem now. Like I don't even have one whole day to knit anymore. I'm too busy. It's fine. But we get to kind of keep showing up every day and sharing our journey. And other people are sharing their journey, and there's something really satisfying about that process. And yeah, Tony said, I'm so inspired by what I see other people make. Watching other people in this process is so fun. And the other thing is that you'll be knitting along, and then all of a sudden you'll see someone else knitting along, and you'll see that they did this creative little thing. And you're going to be like, oh, I want to try that. Or now I need another one so that I can try that. So I want to talk about just some of the basic features of this year's design. And we knit quite a few different samples for to show kind of different looks and colors and everything. But the bottom line is it's designed to be a summery top, a light fabric, but still pretty, not like super casual, but has a little bit of elegance to it. So we have the stockinette upper body, which goes fast, and just a little rolled edge, which is nice because also that's no ribbing. I mean, it's just a couple rows and then you bind it off super quick. When you get to the lace pattern, it's pretty easy to memorize, I thought. Kyle, did you knit the sample or did somebody else knit that?
I did not, but the person who did, she had such a great time doing it, and she finished hers in 4 days. So
Yay!
yeah,
It can be done.
Yeah. So, and she said it was a breeze to do. It was a lot of fun, and she kept wanting to keep watching it grow. I mean, obviously that's what we do, but that the lace is just interesting enough that it makes it so you want to keep moving forward, but you can still binge watch TV or hang out with friends or whatever.
Absolutely. I love a pattern that I can kind of get the hang of and I don't have to keep like checking the chart all the time because I'm kind of a little bit of a lazy knitter. Like I just want to keep knitting. I just want to knit. I don't want to have to like stop. And I know you're knitting some things right now that require a lot of focus. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't have too much focus. I have to be able to get into a groove. So the lace pattern, once you've done, about to here, you got it. Like you don't need to, you'll be kind of cruising along, you'll get through it. And somebody said it looks air conditioned on the bottom. Yes, it is. Totally air conditioned. And the fun little feature here is the short sleeve. Now, listen, you're knitting a top-down sweater. The best part about that is you can make it longer or shorter in the body. You can make the sleeves longer or shorter. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Like you don't have to have a short sleeve if you don't want. But I kind of went with that because the idea was summer and kind of lightweight summer top was my goal. So we went with short sleeves for that reason, but you don't have to like skip it because you don't like short sleeves. You can knit your sleeves a little longer. But the fun part about the sleeves is they have, let me see if I can shrink Betty White down a little bit. She's kind of tall right now. Okay. So we have this perpendicular garter rib trim around the sleeve edge. That's probably the most time-consuming thing. The most time-consuming thing in the whole project. And it's not very long either. It's just like probably the most tedious part. And then you have these little lemon leaf ties just for a little something fun, right? Like a little something extra. And somebody said that she timed herself knitting the lemon leaf ties and it was like 11 minutes to knit them or something. I don't know why we need to know that, but just in case you're like, those look like they take a while. No, they don't. They take 11 minutes. So we're good. So it's a very doable top if you have knitting time, which is a luxury. Not everybody has a lot of knitting time, but if you do, and you have a chance to just sit and get into a groove, you can probably knit through this pretty fast. It's not a super tedious, like I've seen some people saying, I'm finishing Bretzel, I'm finishing, Sail Away, like they're finishing other sweaters from, previous projects. Some of those are longer projects and they will take a little bit more time, but this one's designed to be pretty smooth for you. It's designed for positive ease. So about, 2, 3, 4 inches of positive ease. It kind of depends on what you like. And if we have time, I'll show you a couple pictures. I'm sure we will. I'll show you a couple pictures of what it looks like on the same person, 2 different size tops. And so then you can kind of see how much ease seems like what you would normally enjoy, but it's up to you. And ease is how much wiggle room you have in your sweater. So I saw somebody comment like 100 comments ago and I missed it. I didn't see who said it, but they said, I've knit one sweater before and it was too small. We've all done that. We've all knit a sweater that didn't fit us because there are so many levers that have to do with fit. And it has to do with, number 1, choosing the right size in the first place for you. Number 2, understanding how much ease is already built into the pattern. So looking at the finished measurements, seeing where you fall, knowing your own measurements is really important, and also making sure you get gauge. A lot of times we talk about gauge or we talk about choosing a size, but like we miss the important information that these are all important. So just think of them like levers and we're, adjusting all these different things. And then we magically spit out a sweater that fits just overnight. But that's how we get that fit. So the pattern, one of the things that I do, I consider myself a teaching designer. So my patterns always have a lot of extra information. And so you can learn a lot just by going through the pattern. I don't just say what to do, but I often explain why we do it that way. For example, I talk about my cast on. I start with a cable cast on and I explain that I like that cast on, or at least I explain that it starts you off on the right side immediately. And that's important to know because if you do a long tail cast on and then you go to row 1, you're like, wait, this is the right side row. Where's the first row? You know what I mean? So I include all these extra tips so that you know why we're doing things as we go along and little resources to help you get better results. Because I want you to knit something you're really proud of and that you really like. So if you are worried about choosing your size, the very first thing I would recommend is that you actually measure your full bust, like right here, measure right around that full area, figure out what that is, measure around your arm circumference so that you can see exactly what your own measurements are. And then when you get the pattern pre-order, or if you looked on Makers Mercantile's email, it was fantastic. They included all the measurements. We're not giving you all that information yet. It's coming next Friday in the pre-order when that's available. But we're saving that so that you either have to connect with a yarn shop or you have to wait. And I'm not announcing the needle size either, because as soon as we tell you the needle size, everybody's swatching and sending us 1,000 emails, and we don't have the woman power for 1,000 emails yet. So unfortunately, you have to like watch for all the details and clues, but we will give you all the information you need. And that pre-order packet that comes out on Friday has not just really great tips for how to figure out what size you should choose, how to understand the ease and all of that, what needles to swatch with, what yarn. But speaking of needles and yarn, I kind of feel like Kyle has taken some of the guesswork out of this for us. So I'd like to turn a little bit of time over to him to show us what Makers has been up to for people who participate through their shop. Kyle?
Sure.
Take it.
Hey, everyone. Yeah. So we get to choose a yarn. And for this knit along, it's a summer project. So we want to be doing something that's 50% or more, probably some kind of plant-based or some kind of fiber that's not wool, because it's summer. And we want our air conditioning to be to be cool and comfy. So we chose Rylie, and I have lots of Rylie here, yay, in lots of colors. This is what it looks like, sort of close up. Rylie is a wonderful, wonderful yarn that is 50% baby alpaca, which is the first shearing, or second shearing is like the first couple shearings of the little alpacas. So it's their little hair, 25% mulberry silk, which is super wonderful. That's what gives it the sheen. And then there's 25% linen. So that's the stuff that has those little sort of undyed looking pieces. Those add a lot of structure, a lot of stability to this yarn. And also it makes it a really interesting fabric when it's all knit up. On our website, sorry, I didn't know, I wasn't supposed to, but the matrix.
No, it's fine. It's okay. It's fine, because they just have to come to you for it instead of, we're just not giving it to them. It's a reason to go visit you.
Woo, good. So there is a matrix on our website. So when you go to the Makers website, and the very first banner is going to be for the knit along. So you can just click on that. If you look for anything with lemons, you're probably going to get in the right place. Or you can search for the yarn, which is Rylie. It's Rylie, R-Y-L-I-E. And that will get you to the page. And in that page, there's a picture of Ashley wearing our sample, holding a lemon, because that's what you do. And it has all the information about the different measurements, about the bust measurement and the arm circumference or sleeve circumference. And so you can look at those sizes on the matrix and get a good idea of which size is going to be great for you. If you're not quite sure which one, you might think it's going to be a little bit, you would like to do a size a little larger, just get an extra hank of yarn. And if you have that extra hank, it's there. You don't have to stress. You know for sure you're going to have that yarn in that dye lot, whether you buy it from us or anyone else. And then once you're done with your project, you have extra yarn. You can make a little gift, like a hat or something. Use some of these little elements in the pattern, make your own little hat or follow another pattern. And that's kind of fun. And you don't have to stress. I know that the amount of yardage that's listed, I hope I'm allowed to say this, I think I am, includes enough of yardage so that you can make a gauge swatch. And it's really important. Marie will agree that we want to take time to knit gauge swatches. That's going to make sure that the needle that you're using is going to play well with the yarn that you're using. It's also going to give you the opportunity to understand the way that that designer is speaking to you. So if this is the first time that you've worked with one of Marie's patterns, you're in for a treat. It is so clear and well explained and well thought out. But if you've never done a top-down sweater before, following those instructions and taking time to sort of familiarize yourself before you drive away, that's going to make it for a lot more relaxing project as you're working through it. It's kind of like before we had smartphones and cars that would talk to us and tell us where we were going, we had to use like MapQuest or get out an atlas or unfold a map and figure out like what path are we going to follow? How are we getting to where we want to go? And the best way to do that is a little bit of research. And if you find out that the needle is too big, too small, whatever on your swatch, it's not a big deal. You can change your needle there so that when you start on your project, you haven't knit a day away and then realize, gosh, I really want this to be a different size. And then you have a decision to make. So I think that's kind of it for that part. The yardage itself, there's 274 yards in one of these hanks. And it is really wonderful, the colors and stuff. So we have swatches. I guess I should show you some swatches.
Sure. Oh my gosh, you guys, the Maker's Mercantile swatches are the best swatches. Like, I don't want to gush, but I think you have come to the right place today, Miss Zoom, because they just really went the extra mile and the swatches are so darn cute. Those asking about sizes and all that information, I will circle back to that here shortly.
Awesome. So we have different swatches and you can see these in our blog post or on the product page. So this is one of the colors. I'm not going to say what color numbers these are. You can go onto the website and see them because when you're there, you'll be able to see the color. Obviously it's purple. But the detail is really wonderful and taking time to make the swatches is a little bit extra, but also look, I mean, come on. But taking time to make the little swatches is really important as a shop so that we're able to show you some of what these colors might look like. And of course, we didn't do it out of every color, but I did it out of here's the little purpley one. And Teresa knit all these, so thank you to Teresa, who is amazing. Lemon, it's yellow. So this is a super gorgeous bright yellow. And oh my gosh, the detail shows up so well in this. So these lighter colors are going to show a little bit more of the detail than the darker ones. So here is a darker color, still beautiful, but the patterning is a little concealed. You can still see it because of the sheen as the light moves around. There's little lemon leaves on it, lemon leaves everywhere. But the lighter colors are going to make it make probably for a better visual of those decreases, increases that are going on right here. So those are the 4 little swatches that we did. And of course, Mrs. Olson is wearing the finished one, the actual piece, which is really lovely. Lots of really great information, like Marie said, in the pattern itself. And that's something you're going to get probably no matter where you go from one shop to another. But our deal, so here's the thing that we have offered, and that is if you purchase the minimum amount of yarn, so it's at least 3 hanks of Rylie. So you're going to buy 3 or more hanks of Rylie from us. You'll choose your color, add it to your cart and check out. We're going to give you our bonus pack. And our bonus pack is through, I think it's June 19th, something like that. We've pushed it almost a month. The thing does, it doesn't begin until July 1st. So you can order now, and now is your best chance to get the most color selection. Some colors are going to be, put into baskets by other lucky people. So you want to get the color that you like. You need to choose soon rather than later. But when you do sign up, you're going to get our bonus pack. And our bonus pack includes our awesome lemon bag, which is the brightest and cheeriest and happiest little lemony bag that you could ever want. It has a brassy gold zipper on it. And the inside of these bags, they're always just a white on the inside. So it's easy to sort of see what's going on in your bag. You can find the tapestry needle that's floating around in there. The other side of it, we wanted to keep this one kind of subtle. We just put the Maker's logo and of course the Olive Knits logo, and we chose a fun green to go with it. So you're going to get one of these project bags. And the deal with these is we designed the bag. We print the fabric. So it is done on a machine called a sublimation printer. So the fabric, the paper comes out with the print on it, and it's all reversed. And you take that big, giant piece of paper, put it on a big piece of fabric, and those get put into a sandwich and rolled through, not a sandwich like you eat, but they are sandwiched, and they go through a couple of very hot felt rollers that push the ink from the paper into the fabric. And that's how a lot of fabric is actually made. Any of the print on demand fabrics, that's what it is. And so it comes out like that. And then Corey cuts these bags out for us. And Anu did all the sewing. So wonderful Anu has been sewing her little heart away, getting all the bags ready for you. And then you also get, so you'll need some stitch markers, and all the details are going to show up soon. We don't need to know all the details yet because we can't cast on until July 1st. But you're going to get some stitch markers. So in a little bag, there are 4 stitch markers, and 3 of them are just, I can't see myself, so I hope that you can see that, little brass rings, which are my favorite. They're great unless you need removable ones, then obviously you'll want a removable one. And then of course, like you are gonna guess, there's another lemon coming. So here is the little lemon marker. So this is our end of round marker is what I would use it for. So when you're working and you get to that end of round, you know for sure. This is also an opportunity, these end of round markers, to do sort of a self-check. So you stop for a second, scan your body, and you think like, how long have I been sitting the way I'm sitting? Am I comfortable? How do my hands feel? Do I need to stretch? Whenever you get to a round, you can kind of just do that. And whenever I get to my end of round, I stop and just sort of check in on myself to say like, okay, do I need a break? Nope, don't need a break. All good to go, so I can keep going. So that little lemon is a reminder. There are a couple little stickers in your bag, so you can stick them wherever you want to put your stickers, on your water bottle or something, to remind yourself of the adventure. And then I gotta say, probably my favorite thing is this. And these, if you've never had Citrus Delights, they're delightful. They are not overpowering. They actually taste like lemon. They're a little minty, citrusy thing. And then the little container is so cute. You could keep it and throw it in your bag if you wanted for stitch markers or whatever. I think a tapestry needle would even fit in there. So you're getting all those things, and of course the pattern. So those things are going to automatically show up in your shipment, but you're not going to see something on your paperwork when you print out. The other thing I want to say, so for folks who are, tell me if I'm wrong, you'll have to correct me, Marie. People who are in knit camp, knit campers get the pattern. That's right?
They do. Yep, knit campers get the pattern.
So the knit campers who get the pattern, if you are a knit camper and you are purchasing from me on the page that's the Rylie, you're choosing your color and you're saying how many you want. There's also a little drop down thing that says, yes, I'm a knit camper. I don't need the pattern because I'm going to get it from Marie. I can send your stuff now, which is really cool. If you need the pattern from us, we will purchase it and include it and all of that. But we have to wait, just like you do, for the pattern to get released. And as soon as it gets released, we're able to purchase it for you. We will print a copy of that sort of teaser file, which has all the information that you'll need for your swatching and figuring out sizes and all of that. And then come July 1st, that pattern gets updated through the system, and you will be able to print the actual pattern yourself. So if you're in knit camp, let us know by that little drop down. That way I can get you all of your goodies and stuff right away, and you can, have fun with your bag for an extra week or 2. Otherwise, say you're not a knit camper, and we'll get you the pattern. So that is an extra little thing I just threw in this morning.
Great. That's so sweet of you, especially because there are lots of knit campers on this call. So
Yay.
I love that. And I'm sure they're grateful for that. They'll get their stuff a little early. Okay, so I see tons of questions. Madeline's saying, Kyle, I didn't see that when I ordered. I'll email you. So just FYI, you might get some emails from.
Yeah, send us emails and we'll do that too. Yeah.
That's great. So I want to speak to Rylie for a second. I'm using Rylie in at least one of the patterns in my next book, which is the one coming out in March, not the one coming out in September. It's hard having 2 books that are both not out at the same time because it's like, nobody knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, the March book that's about lightweight stuff. I love Rylie. I've used Rylie for years. If you've been following me for 100 years, then you might remember Weekend at the Coast is one that I knit in Rylie a long, long time ago. I think the yarn is great. And it's, even though the baby alpaca is in there, it is not warm. It's like very light. And someone was talking about, struggling with plant-based fiber because when she said like the gauge changes and, then it's really heavy. And I want to speak to that for this top in particular. The fabric is very, very light. And so having the plant-based fiber, you are not going to end up with a heavy sweater. It's very light and the fabric is designed to be super airy. And so I always encourage you not just to swatch, but to wet block your swatch. Pin it, let it dry. If you're using plant-based fibers, I'm a little bit less excited about pinning those. So usually I'll just kind of pat those out just because the pins, even if they're super sharp, they don't really play nicely with yarn that has linen, cotton, silk, that kind of stuff. It's not the end of the world though. I mean, I've used them, but use your best judgment on that. But, pat it out flat, smooth it all, make sure it's nice and taut, like all the edges are nice and smooth, and let it dry before you measure it. And then kind of like get it up off the blocking mat, kind of shake it out for a second and then measure it. Blocking it is going to help you anticipate the growth. And whenever I want to say always, but I kind of try not to say always and never because, there's an exception to everything, right? But I almost always expect that the swatch information I'm giving you is blocked, but I always say it. So it won't, it's not like a mystery. I'm not keeping it secret. It should say, in whatever pattern blocked. And so that is to help you anticipate how that yarn is going to behave when you do block it or wear it later. But like I said, the fabric's really, really light. So you're not going to be dealing with a lot of heaviness or weight that's really dragging it down. So it's good to keep that in mind. This should really kind of help those of you who maybe haven't worked with a lot of yarns that have a lot of plant-based fiber or non-animal. And this one, one of the things, new designs for you too, Amanda, absolutely. One of the things that's nice about Rylie is because it does have that baby alpaca, it has a little bit more spring to it than like 100% linen or something like that, 100% cotton. Those can feel less fun on the hands. And so this has just a really nice, soft, smooth feel to it. This is that purple. I saw someone saying they were going to order the purple. Love Rylie. Can't speak highly enough. So the nice thing too is Rylie has that silk, it has that sheen, so it's a little more elegant. It's got like that little bit of added something that you get with the silk. I almost said the lace with the silk, and you don't need that much. That's what's amazing is you can kind of get this nicer yarn because you don't need a whole lot of it to be able to knit your top, which is great. So so that's sort of my little spiel on the yarn, but I do want to answer some questions about Kyle, Cami has a question about sea glass and manatee, saying that they look kind of similar on the website. Could you hold them both up and maybe let us see them next week if you have them?
This is color of the year. That's not you. I don't think I have either of those on I don't have either of them here in this bin. But we can, I can run and go get it.
Do you want to get it? I'll talk about sizing. Okay.
Sea glass and manatee. Be right back.
Sea glass manatee. Perfect. I mean, that's what he gets because he's at the shop. So he's surrounded by yarn just like right around the corner. Rena is asking, or Renee.
I have assistants apparently. So
you have assistants. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so
I'm going to quickly show while they're doing that. I'm going to quickly pull up some of the examples when I was talking earlier about being able to see the ease and like what does that actually look like on a body. So I have samples. Let me just pull open my file here. I should have had this open already, but I didn't think about it today. All right, so almost there. So what I have is the same model who would probably wear a small or medium. Well, hold on. Let me figure out where it is here. Kyle, did your assistants bring you the yarn? I might have to trade you places.
They're
Oh,
running on getting it.
oh, I
But,
found it. Hold on,
here
I
it
found
is,
my
yes.
picture.
So here we go. We'll see if this helps at all. So the two colors, this is sea glass and this is manatee. Manatee is a shade darker. They're both kind of grayish. The manatee is just a little touch darker, I would say, but they're both lovely. And this is, I'm pretty sure this one is manatee.
That looks
sample.
like manatee to me.
And this is sea glass next to it, of course, not knit. So part of the really cool part about having the swatch is you can sort of see the difference. If I hold these a little bit apart, it's really hard to tell the difference. Manatee is just a shade darker. I would say it is a little bit more, has a little more blue, I think, in it. Yeah, so you can, and if you're not sure about which color you're interested in, you can give us a call. If we're on the phone or you get our voicemail or something, just leave a message. We will call you back. We are here. We have like special hours, kind of. We're here till about 3:30 Pacific time. So we're here early-ish in the morning and run Monday through Friday, and happy to help. And if we get lots and lots of calls, it'll take us some time to get all those people calls back. But we're happy to take pictures if you need us to take a photo of the two yarns together. If you don't really trust the images on our website, we can do that if that's useful. But yeah, they're both lovely grays. But I will say sea glass is the lighter of the two in color.
I love it. Jan is asking if the plant-based yarn characteristics stretch over time. Is that something that we worry about? Honestly, not in this yarn. I wouldn't worry about it. I haven't really had any issues with it. And it depends how heavy it is. You know, if you're knitting something in plant-based yarn, it has a ton of cables, then you're going to have more of that heaviness. But a light lace thing or just some stockinette that's knit at a nice light gauge, you're not going to run into a lot of issues with that, especially not with this design. Is the alpaca at all scratchy? I don't think it is at all. I think baby alpaca is super soft. Kyle, what do you think?
I agree. I think it's it is a soft fiber. If you get the yarn and you don't love it, as long as it's not wound, you can send all of this stuff back to us. We can figure something out, but of course the kit and all that, you have to send that back too. The pattern, I guess you would just have the pattern. But it isn't really, I don't think it is an itchy fiber. Some people will say like wool is itchy, that kind of thing. If anything, I might think that the linen might have a little bit of like, just because it's they're a little wild. Linen's kind of wild, and it, every once in a while here, I'll bring this back up. There's these little ones that sort of stick up, and it might tickle or something, but it's super soft. It is a lovely fiber. It's one of our favorite yarns to work with. So, and as far as it growing and stuff, it doesn't have, like, if it was 100% cotton, the weight of the thing might grow. But like Marie said, having it be a lot of lace is going to help with that. Giving it a quick steam. If you have a steamer, you can lay your piece out flat on your blocking board. And if you have a portable steamer, you can just give it a steam. That will help you get it back into shape, let it cool down and dry back the way it was, and you're ready to wear it again. So
somebody was asking about seeing it in larger sizes. We absolutely have people testing it in every single size imaginable. You may not see all of those yet because all of the tests probably aren't done, but I always have everything I do tested in a huge range of sizes. So what I want to do is show you now this ease visual. This will be really helpful for you. So let me share my screen, and this first one, this is my friend Laurel, and this is the sample that I knit in one of the smaller sizes because I am short on time. So I didn't even knit my own size because I just had to get it done. So this is the size 2, and this would be her normal size, honestly. So she's wearing, this is, she's got a couple inches of ease, and it kind of depends on the angle here. So you can see that she's got just a little bit, it's not clinging tight, but it's a flattering fit. So it's not super, so it's not super loose. Now I want to switch over. This is a larger size. And I want to say, Erica, I know is on this call. Erica knit this one, and I want to say this is a size 3 or 4. Erica, or if you're here, type in the chat and tell me. So this is going to be, let me just check the chat really fast. I don't see it. But I'm going to say this is probably the size 3. And this is going to have, you can see around the lower part of her body, right? Like you can see a little bit more room there. And here is another, see how you've got like the fabric kind of folds a little bit along the bottom. So if you were to knit yours, maybe sizing up 1, then, or 2, you know, this is the kind of fit you would get versus if, like here, where this would be knitting for her own bust size and getting a little bit more of a fitted, not fitted even, but just like a little closer style. So it's not necessarily super loose. So that is, and let me just check the chat and see. Yes, so Lisa's asking about plus sizes. The pattern I only design for everybody. And so I design from like the smallest size. Finished measurements are, let me just tell you really quick, 35.75. So if you're a size 2, you're going to have a few inches of ease there. Up to the largest size is a 65.5 inch finished measurement. And I always go over 60-inch bust in any pattern that I've written since a long time. The drape of the yarn is really nice and flattering. There's no extra shaping, very much a simple design. One thing that's beneficial though, and good to note, is that because the top is in stockinette, it's naturally going to fit a little bit closer than lace because, you know, lace giveth, right? Those eyelets really open things up. So that open fabric on the bottom is naturally going to give you just a little bit of extra room. And if we have bellies or hips that don't lie, sometimes that little extra room is really helpful. Let me just check here on some other comments. There's no short rows in this. I've kept it short and sweet. The shaping, that kind of sloped shaping around the neckline is actually created before you join it in the round. So you don't actually have to work any wraps and turns or anything like that. Oh, Erica says she knit the size 3. So yeah, so the blue one is the size 3. So that's the difference between a 2 and a 3 on the same person. So if you are between sizes and you're not sure, it's not the end of the world. It's cute both ways, but you can definitely see a difference in the fit. So for someone who wants to add length to the top, does that happen before the lace pattern? I think is what Pam is asking. So you work this top down in the round, no seams, because hi, have you met me? That's what I'm all about. And each size, as the sizes go up, there's a little more distance here before it gets to the lace. So that's naturally written into the pattern. If you want your lace even lower, so if you get to that point in your knitting and you're like, I really have some ladies up here that need a little bit of extra room, you can just knit stockinette a little further before you transition to the lace. It's absolutely your call. It's super easy to do and no big deal at all. This one was from Stash, actually, Kathy. So it's just, we were trying, what I thought it was when I first knit it isn't the yarn it turned out to be. So it was a little bit of a, a little bit of a surprise there. But it doesn't have quite as much sheen as the Rylie. And personally, I think the sheen really adds that little something special to it. But we will, you know, certainly keep showing samples as we get closer. So you can see different colors. Just because it's called Lemon Spritz doesn't mean it has to be yellow. It can be a blueberry lemon spritz or a strawberry lemon spritz or a, what's the purple, do you think? Like, what's purple that could go in our lemon spritz? A lavender lemon spritz. Oh my gosh, how did I get that? Hi, lavender lemon spritz. Yeah, so there's lots of ways you can personalize it. So Marsha's saying, if I'm between sizes, but the larger would be too big, would knitting on a larger needle off gauge work? So that's a great question. And so let me suggest, you can absolutely go up in needle size if the fabric works for you. You could also, one of the challenges with this is the sizing was dependent on that lace pattern. One of the problems with lace or even cables or all over stitch patterns is they require a specific number of stitches. So it's like harder to jump between. But one thing you could do also, I think it's a 12 stitch lace, I want to say, without looking at the chart. I think it's 12 stitches. So like you could technically start with the smaller size, but then as you're increasing, kind of continue increasing to the larger size, like kind of compare those in the pattern. Or when you get to the sleeve divide, the only problem with casting on more stitches under your arms, like you could do 6 more stitches under each arm, so you get enough more to still fit the chart. But the problem with that, just to keep in mind, is it also makes the sleeves bigger. So you'd have to want the sleeves to be bigger, but there's a lot of ways you could do it. So if you want to try swatching on that larger needle and just make sure that you like the way that fabric looks, as long as you're happy with it, you know, it could give you just that little bit of extra room that you might like. But the ease is already built in there. So when you are thinking about which size do I make, I want to emphasize that when you look at finished measurements, which you'll get when you like Kyle put it on Maker's website as well, but when you get the pre-order packet next Friday, it will have a lot of information in there for you to help you be successful in choosing your size. And when you see those finished measurements, the goal isn't to choose finished measurements that are exactly the same as yours. What I would recommend is if you naturally wear an extra large, kind of start with the extra large size and then look at those finished measurements. Measure yourself and compare those two. If your measurement, let me look at the extra large. That one is going to be 45.75 inches in circumference. So if you measure yourself and you're like, I measure 42, and this one is 45.75, that gives me a couple of inches, few inches of positive ease. It means it's bigger than I am. So it's going to fit me with a little bit of wiggle room. That's what ease is about. It's like if you're wearing a bathing suit, you want that to cling real tight. You don't want to jump off that diving board and have a swimsuit that's loose, right? But when you're knitting a sweater, we want a little bit of room. Even if it's a tee, you know, they're kind of meant for a little bit more of a loose fit so that you have that breathing room in your garment. So are the models wearing a tank underneath the sweater? It's totally up to you. I had my model wear a tank under because it was just, it seemed, you know, I don't necessarily want like belly buttons out in the breeze and showing through the lace and that kind of thing. So but it depends. We had a yarn shop owner who wore hers with no undershirt, but it kind of also is going to kind of depend on your fabric. Once you take a look at it, see what you're comfortable with, but at least the lace is down below. So technically, if you want to, you know, if you want to do that, you absolutely could, and nobody's going to stop you. I mean, you could do it however you want, even if the lace is on top. I'm not trying to tell you how to wear your clothes. I'm just saying, if you want to be discreet about certain parts of your business, you probably will need a tank top in some capacity, or a cami, but it's not required. Let me look here. Length of the sweater. I would not worry about the length of the sweater. So the sweater length it varies between the sizes, but it's pretty good length. It's a pretty good length. Let me see if I can find it. It'll be in, like I said, all of that will be in the pre-order packet information. I'm just looking.
Well, and the other one thing I would just jump in and say, because you've said this before, you make it whatever length your body needs. Yeah. So you decide where, you know, where that hip line is or where you want that to be. And if you'd like it to be a little bit longer, knit more lace.
Well, she was talking about getting more yarn for it. So I just want to tell you, like, would she need more yarn? And so, and Kyle's absolutely right. You can completely knit it longer, but it already goes from, and it has ribbing of a couple of inches. So we're looking at 13-inch length for the smallest size, up to 16-inch lower body length for the largest sizes, like kind of the second half of the sizes. And that's prior to blocking. So you're going to even get a little more with blocking. So you may not really need to add any length. And I know it kind of depends on whose sample you're looking at as to the length that's there. But absolutely, like you can add length if you need to, but you probably wouldn't necessarily need to order more yarn. It's up to you though. Depends how long you want to do it. Mary said, just want to say that my two favorite knitting celebs are Marie and Kyle, and I love both of your weekly Zooms. Having you both in the same Zoom is the best of all times. Thanks for making my week a lot happier. Thanks, Mary.
That's awesome. Thank you.
We sure love to hear that. Pam's asking, how does Rylie change sidewise with blocking? Honestly, not, oh gosh, I almost closed our whole meeting. Not bad at all. Like it's honestly, I've done probably 3 or 4 sweater samples in Rylie over the years, and it's not like 100% cotton where you end up, it like gets really wide and like short. It's not like that. It's not like that. Okay, we've got a couple more minutes. Oh, size wise. Yeah. So Pam, just make sure you block your swatch. So our samples came out like when we did it for my book. So we didn't do one of our 4-day samples in this only because we don't have enough time. Like I even have Rylie that I was like, I could do a 4-day. I just don't have enough hands to knit with. But if you knit your swatch, same yarn, same needles that you're going to use for your sweater, same needles. I can't stress that enough. It makes a difference. And then wet block your swatch, let it dry, then measure it. Then that's going to tell you your gauge. You're going to choose your gauge off of that blocked swatch. And as long as you do that and you are on gauge when you're knitting, then your finished result should fit the size that it says it's going to be. Like it shouldn't be a surprise. I know it feels like a crapshoot, right? Like when you're choosing your size in knitting, it used to be for me. I would knit something and be like, I don't know if it's going to fit. I hope. but I learned over the years. I mean, that was like 25 years ago when I first started knitting sweaters. Now I know that we can make sure they fit because we put all these precautions in place, like swatching. So, Kay, I'll have to check that. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check. And actually, it could be that I don't know. I'll have to check, Kyle. It sounds like we might have some different measurements on our charts. So we'll compare those. I don't know. My sizing says 33.25. Interesting. I wonder if I just printed out a copy of the pattern. So don't hold me to any of these. Plus, you're getting that pre-order next week, right? But I'm pulling it off of a copy of the pattern that I printed. So I better go check and see if Carly like put some weird numbers in there.
Or maybe I made a typo, but the one for the smallest size, you need at least 3 hanks of yarn. So that's the minimum, and you'll have enough to do whichever one if I typed it wrong. So we'll check it. I can get that fixed.
Oh, and it might not be you. It might be, or I could have printed out an old version. I don't know. I was just quickly printing one out of my downloads. I'll double check. Kim says my sizing says 33.25. So I don't know. We'll double check. We'll make sure we get all that locked in. The swatch is in stockinette. And when you block, is there a lot of stretching? No, not a lot of stretching. And I don't recommend that you actively like intentionally stretch your swatch. That would be, I mean, the point is to get your swatch to tell you the truth. And if you're trying to stretch it within an inch of its life to force it to tell you what you want to hear, it's going to be a lie, right? So, padding it in place, pinning it. The nice thing about Rylie is you can pin this. That baby alpaca is helpful. You can pin your swatch if you want to, but you want to get as accurate a measurement as you can. So don't stretch it a lot, just, pat it out flat, pin it. But if you're thinking about like in terms of the garment itself, it's not going to do what you would, I think with baby alpaca, sometimes alpaca in general, that we're like, oh my gosh, it's going to grow so much, but that linen really helps. It really helps bring it in. Yeah. Kyle, what's the name of the light blue one in the basket?
This is Alex. I'm just kidding. This is the color of the year. It's COTY. It was the color of the year for 2022. So Cody, COTY is what this one is. And it's a really beautiful blue. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love it. So Kyle, we'll send you the replay link right after this and the list of everyone who registered. Is there anyone who has any other quick question before we go. Kyle, let us know what's the best way for them to find you and get their order in?
To find us. So of course, the best way to do it would be just to head on over to the website, makersmercantile.com. There's a giant banner, click on the lemons, or you can search for the word Rylie, Rylie, in the search box. That'll get you to the yarn. And there will be the matrix, which has approximately the right sizing. We'll figure that out and update that if it's necessary. Add that stuff to your cart. Make sure you let us know whether or not you are a knit camper. If you are a knit camper, then we can zoom your stuff out the door more quickly. If you are not a knit camper, we're going to hold on to the shipment until we can get the pattern purchased for you, the pre-pattern, and we'll print out the information that's there, which is the swatching stuff and all that, put that in the package and send it along. Again, the goodie bag, all of that, at some point we're going to run out, but I am determined to give everyone who is interested in having all these extras, I want to get them for you. So until we say they're sold out, you can pretty much count on getting yours. Yeah, so, and if you have trouble on the website, you can give us a call, leave or send us an email, and we will do our best to help. Let us know when we can call you back, of course, as well. We can take credit cards over the phone, but not PayPal. So if you want to use PayPal, that's something that is you got to do on your device. So that is that part of it.
Great. It sounds like we have all of our bases covered. The pattern is sport or light DK, but it's really a range because of the plant-based aspect. So there's kind of a little bit of a range of yarns that will work. The goal is you have to get the right gauge and you want to create a nice airy fabric. So keep an eye on your inbox. You'll be hearing from Kyle soon, and I cannot wait for us to get started. I do want to mention one more quick thing. You'll actually get the pattern on June 30th. Now, typically the knit along, like historically, starts on the 1st because that was the idea, but when the 1st is like on a weekend or a weekday, we try and give you the weekend to knit. So you will actually get the pattern on the 30th. And so you will see that there. And if you missed the part where Kyle showed what's in the Little Makers bundle, you'll see it on the website. And as far as the pre-order, that will be available next Friday. You can get it with your order from Makers Mercantile. If you're in Knit Camp, you already get that as part of Knit Camp. It will be available on Ravelry and oliveleknits.com, and it will have all kinds of good information. And the day that it becomes available, you'll be able to see everything that is included in it and how that all works. And it will be available at a discount just initially if you're buying the pattern separately. But if you're getting the kit, you don't even have to worry. It's just going to be right in there for you. So, all right, everybody, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the knit along.
Yay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.